join us for 7:30 News Bulletin. My name is Fales Jezombe. The top stories.
Pope Leo XIV calls for patience and dialogue in Iran and Syria. Malawi Defense Force challenges senior officers on discipline and strategic leadership. CDED commends Mutalika's anti-corruption drive, seeks clarity on maize prices and forex. And in other news, Iran warns Washington it will retaliate if US launches an attack.
We do have the details to this and more. Stay with us. Pope Leo XIV has renewed his appeal for peace and dialogue, turning his thoughts in particular to Iran and Syria, where he said persistent tensions are causing deaths of many people. Speaking after the Angelus prayer on Sunday, 11th January, the Pope expressed deep concern for the populations affected by violence and instability and invited all parties to choose the path of reconciliation. We have a Vatican News report read by Charity Gilanga.
Referring to Iran, the Holy Father noted that since late December, the country has witnessed new demonstrations against the regime, which have spread to many provinces. He lamented that these protests have been met with repression by security forces, resulting in further suffering and loss of life. The Pope also spoke of Syria, where widespread fighting has taken place in recent days between the army and Kurdish forces in the northern city of Aleppo. He voiced sorrow for the renewed crashes in a land already scarred by years of conflict and humanitarian crisis. Speaking of both countries, Pope Leo said he hoped and prayed that dialogue and peace would be cultivated with patience in pursuit of the common good of the whole society. He emphasized that only sincerely dialogue and respect for human dignity can lay the foundations for lasting peace. The Holy Father then recalled the plight of the Ukrainian people who continue to suffer under Russian bombardment. He expressed particular concern for the impact of the attacks on civilians and the worsening humanitarian situation. He lamented that the strikes are particularly serious, targeting mainly energy infrastructure, while the cold intensifies, hitting the civilian population hard. He then prayed for those who are suffering and renewed his call for an end to violence and for intensified efforts to achieve peace, entrusting all victims of war and unrest to God's mercy and urging the international community to work tirelessly for dialogue and reconciliation.
Bishop Alfred Mateo Chaima of Zomba Diocese has challenged friends of the Uganda martyrs to embrace lives of sacrifice and remain focused on God as they continue serving the Church, drawing inspiration from the courage and faith of the martyrs. His Lordship Chaima was speaking during a Thanksgiving Mass for the Friends of the Uganda martyrs held at Maula Cathedral in Lilongwe on Saturday, January 10th. We have more details in this report filed by Gift Kalonga.
In his remarks, Bishop Chaima said the Friends of Uganda Matters are an important church movement that helps believers remain focused on God and actively participate in the mission of proclaiming Christ. He explained that through prayer, pilgrimages, and fellowship, members draw spiritual strength from the example of the Uganda Martyrs, who remained faithful even in the face of suffering. The bishop noted that sacrifice is central to Christian life, stressing that faith must be expressed through action. He said giving one's time, resources, and commitment to church activities is a clear sign of dedication to God, adding that organizing and participating in pilgrimages is one way believers demonstrate their readiness to serve in God's vineyard. Bishop Chaima also appealed to those with financial capacity to support fellow Christians who wish to go on pilgrimages but cannot afford the costs. He said sponsoring others, especially those involved in evangelization, is a meaningful sacrifice that contributes to spreading the gospel and strengthening the faith of the wider church.
We gain and get from the Uganda Matters, one needs to sacrifice. In this case, we can give the example of how they themselves are able to sacrifice when they take their resources and also take their time. An example is what has happened today, but again that they organize the pilgrimages to Uganda. And all this is in the name of proclaiming God and trying to focus on God and sacrificing and being ready to sacrifice for Him, just the way the Ugandan Martyrs did.
On her part, National Chairperson Stella Lungu said the pilgrimage of Namugongo provides the friends of the Uganda Matters an opportunity to deepen their faith and receive numerous spiritual blessings. She noted that participating in Mass and accessing Catholic sacramentals at the shrine allows believers to experience God's grace through the intercession of Uganda Matters.
So many benefits at Namugongo Shrine. The sacramentals, the Catholic sacramentals like water, even in the Mass at Namugongo Shrine, people are receiving blessings through the Matters.
On the same day, there was also an evaluation of the 2025 pilgrimage to Uganda. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
The Malawi Defense Force has challenged senior military officers undergoing the Senior Command and Staff Course 5 to uphold discipline, dedication, teamwork, and research-driven leadership as they prepare for future high-level command roles. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the 46-week course in Salima, Commandant of the MDF Command and Staff College, Vincent Peter Moyo, urged participants to go beyond discipline and intelligent by embracing research, critical thinking, and collaboration, noting that modern military leadership requires expertise in areas such as international relations, disaster response, and peacekeeping. Tandon Zumara has filed this report.
According to Moyo, the course is designed to prepare officers for strategic leadership beyond traditional security functions. He noted that the military today plays a critical role beyond combat, and such a training will help officers to be analytical, research-oriented, and capable of making informed decisions that benefit both Malawi and the region. He then encouraged the officers to actively contribute to the course by sharing experiences and expertise, describing the multinational composition of the class as a key opportunity for knowledge sharing and regional cooperation.
Helps to empower the student officers in future decision making. As you are already aware, Malawi is not an island. We work with our neighbors, both locally, outside, like during the disaster which happened 2 years ago. Tanzania came to help us. Likewise, even our troops go to other countries, like peacekeeping in DRC, Sudan, ABA, they work with other officers there. So it is very important to empower them so that they can be able to work effectively and represent Malawi both at local level.
The course has attracted 31 senior officers from 6 African countries, including Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Uganda, and Botswana, a development MDF says will strengthen regional military ties and enhance joint responses to security and humanitarian challenges. The program is expected to run until the 4th of December 2026. For Luntha News, this is Tandiwe Zumara.
The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative, CDED, has welcomed President Arthur Peter Mutharika's declaration of a total war on corruption, describing the virus as a serious threat to the country's values, while calling on the government to provide a clear explanation on maize prices and the foreign exchange situation. CDED Executive Director Sylvester Namira has said the organization is encouraged by President Peter Arthur Mutharika declaration of a total war on corruption, noting that corruption is a destructive vice that harms orderly Malawians and undermines the very institutions meant to protect them. Namiwa was speaking during a seated press briefing held at Korea Garden in Area Free, Lilongwe. We have more details in this report filed by Gift Kalonga.
Namiwa said SIDED is pleased with President Arthur Peter Mutharika's stance on fighting corruption, describing it as a serious threat to the country's development and well-being of ordinary Malawians. He said corruption benefits a few individuals while punishing citizens who rely on government services. He also challenged the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning to use the ongoing budget consultations to explain how a 50-kilogram bag of maize will sell at 20,000 kwacha by August this year. Namiwa warned that without clear justification, such statements risk demoralizing local producers and could force the country to rely heavily on maize imports. On the foreign exchange situation, Namiwa said, while some progress is being reported, it is mainly visible on illegal parallel market, which government cannot depend on. He urged the Reserve Bank of Malawi to explain why forex shortages persist, cautioning that continued scarcity, fuel shortages, and a rising cost of living.
Therefore, a people-centered government should strive all the times to serve the aspirations and goals of Malawians. We are availing ourselves to help to stamp out corruption. You see, most of these top government officials, including cabinet ministers, are captured even way before swearing in. They are captured by an unscrupulous business person, especially our brothers of Asian origin, to an extent that by the time they're winning public contracts, they supply at an inflated prices, and in a worst case scenario, they don't supply at all. So this boils down to the very same people that were supposed to be protected.
Meanwhile, SIDED has pledged to work closely with President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika in the fight against corruption, describing the vice as a major obstacle that is undermining Malawi's development and national progress. For Luntha News, this is Gift Kalonga.
Malawi CSO-led BRIC Economic Empowerment Movement MABLEM and the Forum for National Development FND have called on political leaders to safeguard Malawi's civil service from partisan politics, warning that repeated changes in government should not disrupt public service or undermine professionalism. FND Executive Director Faisal Johnson questioned as why public servants are often removed simply because a new administration comes into power. He told journalists today in Lilongwe that the practice of replacing experienced personnel with outsiders destabilizes institutions and hamper service delivery. Jonesy explains.
That's exactly our arguments, that we really need to draw the line, because if you look at the trend, we have normalized it, and that's where the problem begins. And the things start changing when you have a situation like where Matang has been reinstated and others have been reinstated. Then you start to question why were they taken out of the public service in the first place. Now there are also a group of people that have been taken out of the service. Are we not going to face the same situation? This is where now we need to start calling upon the government and the laws of Malawi. Yes, some of the laws we deliberately disregard. And the unfortunate part is that our courts sometimes take time to resolve these matters. Sometimes we are happy that when employees challenge the matter in courts, they are able to get injunctions to stop these decisions. But injunctions are just temporal remedies. We need to move in a situation where in other countries, when a political party changes, it does not change the public service or the civil service. They need to be protected. And unfortunately, if you're protected by the courts, you go to a court and the court takes 5 years to determine your case. Then you're not even being protected. That's where the problem starts. But I think a call must go to our political party leaders to understand that the decision that they're making today about changing the whole civil, yes, as you're putting it, for the past 20 years, a new government comes in, you want to destroy the whole civil service. And sometimes you bring in PSS outside the system. You go and get someone who has never been who has never been a civil servant, becomes a director, yet there are people that have been working in the system that have been promoted.
You are still watching news on Luntha television with me, Fales Chizombe. Another look at our top stories before we proceed.
Pope Leo XIV calls for patience and dialogue in Iran and Syria. Malawi Defense Force challenges senior officers on discipline and strategic leadership. CDED commends Mutharika's anti-corruption drive, seeks clarity on maize prices and forex. And in other news, Iran warns Washington it will retaliate if US launches an attack.
Moving forward, the Malawi Coalition for Gabaza Stakeholders Association, Makokasa, has welcomed the Lilongwe City Council's decision to restore order and create a more conducive environment for business in the capital city, urging to work closely with government authorities to achieve this goal. Chairperson of Makokasa, Moses Malabu, said the association recognizes growing public concern over the conduct of some Gabaza operators in Lilongwe and believes collaboration with the City Council is key to addressing the problem. Emmanuel Chuocha reports. Now in sports, Football Association of Malawi President Fridud Haya has expressed satisfaction with the organization and conduct of the 2025 NBS Bank National Division League, describing the competition as successful and competitive throughout the season. Haya made the remarks at Balaka Stadium during the prize presentation ceremony, where Lady Lions were crowned champions of the NBS Bank National Division League. Parik Cooper has more in this report.
Speaking at the event, Haya commended all the teams that participated in the league, noting that the competition continues to play a critical role in strengthening football development in the country. He highlighted that the National Division League is the second-tier competition which produces 3 teams that earn promotion to the elite TNM Super League.
To us, I think we have realized this dream. We have seen the teams that have gone into this league. We are talking of Red Lions, we are talking of Baka City, we are talking of Namitete. All these teams, it will be very easy for them to play in the Super League because they have been everywhere where the teams of Super League play. And I can tell you in terms of the surface, maybe they've played even in the tougher surface compared to the surface that they're going to play. Meaning that these guys are very equipped, they are very ready, and they are also very competitive. Lastly, let me also thank the media and all the stakeholders that have made this competition to run smoothly.
The farm president also praised the league secretariat and the competitions committee for their professionalism and good working relationship, which he said contributed to the smooth running of the league from start to finish. Red Lions were crowned champions after a strong and consistent performance throughout the season and received a 15 million kwacha as a cash prize. Following the conclusion of the league, Red Lions, Mitundu Baptist, and Baka City have earned promotion to the TNM Super League. Meanwhile, Gender United, Mchinji Villa, and Chinuba Barracks have been relegated after finishing in the bottom 3 positions. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Pupa.
And in other news, as nationwide protests in Iran entered their 3rd week, Tehran has warned that it will strike back if the United States attacks. U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to intervene to protect demonstrators amid a deadly crackdown by security forces. We have an Africa News report read by Chalite Chilanga.
Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf warned that Israel, along with U.S. military and its shipping centers in the region, would become a legitimate target. He went on to directly threaten Israel, the occupied territory as he referred to it, and the U.S. military, possibly with a preemptive strike. The Iranian authorities accused Washington and Israel of fomenting the current unrest, with security officials saying they have stepped up efforts to deal with the rioters. Demonstrators defied the government crackdown to flood streets in the capital and elsewhere across the country on Saturday night into Sunday. Human rights groups say at least 116 people have died and over 2,600 others have been detained since the start of the protest. But with limited information coming out of the country due to an ongoing internet blackout, the full picture remains unclear. The demonstrations began in late December in response to soaring prices before turning against the clerical rulers who have governed Iran since 1979 Islamic Revolution. It remains unclear just how serious Iran is about launching a strike, particularly after seeing its air defenses destroyed during the 12-day war in June with Israel. Any decision to go to war would rest with Iran's 86-year-old supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
That item concludes our today's news bulletin. Before we go, another look at our top stories.
Pope Leo XIV calls for patience and dialogue in Iran and Syria. Malawi Defense Force challenges senior officers on discipline and strategic leadership. CDED commends Mutharika's anti-corruption drive, seeks clarity on maize prices and forex. And in other news, Iran warns Washington it will retaliate if US launches an attack.
I've been Fales Chizombe. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to tune in for the rest of our programs here on Luntha Television. Stay safe and goodbye.